So this is a story that that didn't reach my radar. This is not a person that typically comes across my feed, but one of my supporters said that I need to check this one out. The Shaming of Mr. Perfect. He's the Stanford professor podcast star who looks like Hercules and counsels millions of men about self-discipline. So how does Andrew Huberman explain being caught cheating on his girlfriend with five lovers? All right, let's get into it. As the girlfriend of one of the world's most famous health experts, a neuroscientist, and podcaster whose advice on healthy living is observed by millions, Sarah always knew that Andrew Huberman was in demand. Such was the cult like star power of her heavily tattooed, muscly wellness bro boyfriend, who is also an associate professor at Stanford University and whose podcast is one of the most popular in the world, that whenever they went out together, he would be mobbed by admirers. Quite how much in demand she only discovered in the summer of 2022. However, when she grabbed his mobile phone after he left it in the bathroom and looked through his text messages. The couple were having IVF treatment to have a baby, but Sarah had started to get suspicious about his behavior with other women, only for Huberman to bat away her doubts. They were just stalkers, alcoholics, and compulsive liars, he reassured her. His mobile phone told a different story. Even during a camping trip he'd just returned from with Sarah, he'd been communicating with another woman, Eve. Your feelings matter, Huberman, a master of the language of professional therapy and psychobabble, told Eve. I'm actually very much a caretaker. In a later text, he confided, I'm back on the grind tomorrow and would love to see you this weekend. This whole part about professional therapy and psychobabble, that is one thing, that's one of the reasons why sending these types to therapy to get this language can be dangerous, a la Jonas Hill. Keep that in mind. Obviously, this was no stalker. In fact, Eve was an ethereally beautiful actress, the kind of woman whom it is hard to look away, according to New York Magazine journalist Carrie Howley, and she'd been having an affair with Huberman since she'd seen him in a private invitation-only dating app 2 years earlier, and they'd gone for a swim. If one affair was not enough, Sarah eventually discovered Huberman, the ascetic who insistently preaches the importance of self-discipline and who counsels millions of other men on how it's critical to cut down on stress, was cheating on her with at least five women at once. These lovers, for the most part, had no idea he was seeing anyone else, while Huberman's alleged shameless subterfuge involved firing off romantic text messages to different women almost simultaneously. The sensational details about the private life of a very public academic have been revealed in the latest issue of New York Magazine. The publication, which gave the girlfriends pseudonyms to protect their identity, spoke to five of the women and reported how insiders say there is a darker side to the American's much admired public persona. It is the persona that has brought him 6 million followers on the social media site Instagram, and 5.25 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. Huberman Lab, not to mention reportedly millions of dollars by running adverts for dietary supplements and wellness products. Time magazine profiled him last year under the glowing headline, How Podcaster Andrew Huberman Got America to Care About Science. It quoted another neuroscientist who said he was a rock star in their field and said Huberman was considered one day entering politics. Asked by Time how he defined fun, he replied, I like to learn and to exercise. Observers say it's no surprise Huberman rose to fame during the pandemic as his intense but patient explaining of the interactions between the brain and the body seemed to the perfect tonic for so many people struggling with their mental health. And it's been alleged that Huberman, who some of the women would say could be aggressive, manipulative, ultra narcissistic, and even psychopathic, isn't only untrustworthy as a lover, but is also unreliable as a scientific expert. It's claimed that he packs his podcast with science, while the laboratory he boasts about having at Stanford, and which inspired the podcast title Huberman Lab, is no more than a postdoctoral student working alone. New York Magazine's investigation has also cast into doubt his account of his early years in the California town of Palo Alto, where he says the trauma of growing up in a broken home turned him into a troubled youth who got into street fights and had a spell in a detention. The investigation instead said it found that Huberman, the son of a father who was also a Stanford academic, went to a wealthy, high performing school where he spent his time skateboarding rather than fighting. Its contents have clearly come as a huge blow to members of the Hubersphere, the legions of Huberman fans who religiously follow his very precise protocols, all based on strong scientific data to maximize your productivity, physical, and mental health. All right, here is Huberman of the Huberman Lab, looking strong, muscly, and tattooed. They include ensuring you get your early morning sunshine, filtering tap water, only consuming caffeine at set times, and plunging into ice baths. In the news, their hero may not be quite what he makes it out, has hit his devotees with the shock of one of those baths. For while his hulking frame, bushy beard, and cult status in the macho manosphere, Huberman might smack of another over-muscled Andrew Tate. Instead, comes across in his podcast as a thoughtful, gentle, and earnest academic who just happens to look like a modern Hercules. Huberman hasn't specifically responded to the serial infidelity allegations, although his spokesman dismissed other claims in the article, including Sarah's claim that he was subject to rages. Dr. Huberman is very much in control of his emotions, said the spokesman, and that they were trying to have a baby. He says they were only trying to produce embryos. He also insisted he was not in a monogamous relationship with Sarah until late 2021. Social media has erupted into open warfare over the claims, with his sympathizers who say Huberman's private life is his own affair, clashing with critics who insist it's justified to question the credibility of an influencer who portrays himself as having virtually no vices and who has made personal integrity one of his chief selling points. Some fans have chosen to see the lighter side to this all, joking that his tips on boosting energy certainly work, at least for him. If he can manage to have 6 affairs and a successful career at once, even one of his ex-girlfriends admitted to being impressed at how he managed to fit them all in, saying, I can barely schedule 3 Zooms in a day. And predictably, there are some males who have applauded a man who can keep up such a relentlessly packed sex life. In that vein, Huberman has earned possibly the, the unhelpful support of Russell Brand, the self-proclaimed sex addict, who denies accusations from various women of rape, SA, and emotional abuse, dismissed the new report as an astonishing hit piece on a man who champions a return to traditional male values such as empowering lifestyle, autonomy, fitness, and strength. To get Russell Brand's stamp of approval cannot bode that well. The ability to multitask is not widely regarded as a traditional male value, but how else would you describe Huberman's alleged synchronized philandering? The various women reportedly in Huberman's life say they gradually discovered the lengths he was having to go to keep them all thinking his relationship with each one of them was an exclusive one. Sarah began a relationship with Huberman in 2018 in the San Francisco Bay Area, where they both lived. He messaged her over Instagram. Both of them had devoted their lives to healthy living, but Huberman wasn't yet famous. Both were self optimizers obsessed with making themselves physically and mentally as perfect as possible. She agreed to have a monogamous relationship, but she soon discovered he could be strangely elusive, regularly disappearing or failing to turn up as agreed, even to a 2018 Thanksgiving party at which she planned to introduce him to her parents and close friends. Obviously, this is a long article and I'm not going to do the whole thing, but it just seems like the whole it just seems like people are perfectly fine with cosplaying these virtues and not particularly living up to the integrity that they purport online. But anybody can create a persona online. So jump in the comments. Let me know. Have you heard of Huberman? I haven't heard of Huberman. I'm glad that someone alerted me to this person. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Now I want to talk about some news coming out of schools in two different red states, Tennessee and Texas. Tennessee TSU leaders consider suing state over underfunding, and this is not a small number. 2.1 billion. A federal report issued last year reported the state of Tennessee owes the university 2.1 billion. Tennessee State University is considering a lawsuit against the state of Tennessee over 30 years of underfunding. Leaders say the money meant for TSU went to predominantly white schools across the state for decades. State leaders are placing the blame on the schools for its money issues. A report from the federal government last year found that the state owes TSU 2.1 billion with a B. TSU's Board of Trustees had called on state leaders to pay the school the money it's owed. However, last week, the Tennessee General Assembly voted to remove the board, and Governor Bill Lee replaced it with a slate of his own appointees. Now they're considering a lawsuit. There's an opportunity if students and alumni want to pursue that route. It doesn't have to be an either or, it can be a both and situation. State Representative Harold Love Jr., a Democrat out of Nashville, said. But either case, you have to have the data. And that's the wonderful thing I can say about the research that I did over the last 10 years. We have the data. Similar lawsuits filed by other HBCUs in other states have been successful. Now, people have been talking extensively about DEI and affirmative action, but what about these schools that are underfunded on purpose because of shenanigans like this? Taking money away from these people are taxpayers too. The people that are going to these schools deserve to have this money and have their schools funded. But this country is built on racism and sexism. Now let's go to Texas. Texas is laying off dozens of staff because of anti-DEI initiatives. University of Texas lays off at least 60 employees previously in DEI-related positions and closes DCCE. A week after State Senator Brandon Crichton warned Texas University system administrators about the state's expectations for higher education institutions to comply with Senate Bill 17, an anti-DEI law that went into effect in January, the University of Texas has laid off at least 60 staff members who previously worked in diversity, equity, and inclusion relations positions, according to three people with knowledge of the terminations. UT has not confirmed to American Statesman the number of staff positions that have been eliminated or how many employees will be laid off, but on Tuesday afternoon, a person with knowledge of the terminations said at least 60 people have lost their jobs, 40 of them in the Division of Campus and Community Engagement alone. The layoffs are effective in 90 days or more. People familiar with the terminations told the statesman, UT did not respond to the statement's request for comment. UT is also closing the Division of Campus and Community Engagement, previously known as the Division of Diversity and Community Engagement. President Jay Hartzell said in an email to the UT community on Tuesday afternoon, which was obtained by the Statesman, that though the school made changes before January 1st to comply with SB 17, we knew that more work would be required to utilize our talent and resources most effectively in support of our teaching and research missions and ultimately our students. The new law has changed the scope of some programs on campus, making them broader and creating duplications with long-standing existing programs supporting students, faculty, and staff. Following those reviews, we have concluded that additional measures are necessary to reduce overlaps, streamline student-facing portfolios, and optimize and redirect resources into our fundamental activities of teaching and research. Hartzell said the remaining programs will be redistributed among other divisions. He said funding that previously supported DEI initiatives will now be redirected to support teaching and research. Student support, however, will be available for the rest of the semester. The positions that provided support for those associate and assistant deans and a small number of staff roles across the campus that were formerly focused on DEI will no longer be funded. Hartzell added in his email that the Division of Student Affairs will work to ensure student-facing support lasts through the rest of the semester, as do student workers' positions, and that staff members whose positions are being eliminated will have the opportunity to apply and be considered for existing open positions at the university, and resources will be made available to support them. The university did not clarify how many or which programs and positions have been eliminated. Why are changes influenced by SB 17 still being made? SB 17 bans DEI offices, initiatives, and employees from fulfilling those functions at Texas public universities and colleges. In Crichton's March 26 letter to the university system chancellors and boards of regents, he expressed disappointment that some colleges might just be changing office names and titles as part of their compliance, and he cautioned that this letter should serve as notice that this practice is unacceptable. He warned administrators that lawmakers can take legal action and even freeze state funding for their institutions if they do not fully comply with SB 17. So they are simply, just doubling down. No diversity, no equity, no inclusion in the public schools. And I really wonder how this is going to bode for these anti-DEI states. They are running out the colored folks. They are running out the women because these forced birthers are usually in these anti-DEI states. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this changes the demographic layout of these universities and these states overall. Anyways, you guys jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about these two stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Now, we all knew that Sean Diddy Combs was having a terrible, no good, very bad year. Now, the people in his orbit are catching strays as well, and we knew that these were probably going to be coming. His son, Christian King, is being sued for SAing a woman on a yacht during the 2022 yacht party. Christian King Combs, 25, has been sued for SAing Grace O'Markey, a woman working on a yacht his father chartered in the summer of 2022, according to court documents obtained by U.S. Weekly. Filed Thursday in LA County Superior Court, the lawsuit also accuses King of sexual harassment and infliction of emotional distress. Diddy is also accused of aiding and abetting his son, named in the lawsuit for premises liability for chartering the boat. O'Markey claimed the trip was sold as a wholesome family excursion but became a hedonistic environment. Like father, like son. The alleged event took place in late December of that year, shortly before Diddy hosted a star-studded yacht party on New Year's Eve. According to TMZ, O'Markey alleges that King tried to kiss and grope her after giving her a shot of liquor she suspects was spiked. The outlet reported that O'Markey also has audio recordings of herself allegedly turning down his advances in the yacht studio and trying to get away from him. Afterward, King allegedly attempted to force O'Markey to perform oral sex on him. She included photos of bruises on her arms, which she says she got during the altercation while fighting him off and escaping. Aaron Dyer, a lawyer on Diddy and King's defense team, responded to the lawsuit in a statement to us. We have not seen this woman's claim, but I'm sure we can expect the same kind of manufactured lies we've come to expect from Tyrone Blackburn and his clients, just as we saw in Rodney Jones's lawsuit, which has yet to be served, said Dyer. He was just slapped by a federal judge in New York earlier this week for his pattern of behavior and improperly filing cases in federal court to garner media attention, embarrass defendants with salacious allegations, and pressure defendants to settle quickly. 2 days after he was referred to the disciplinary committee in the Southern District of New York, it's interesting he chose to file a new suit in California. This is just another page from that same playbook, as we learned of this lawsuit the same way anyone else hears about Mr. Blackburn's filings, through the media, Dyer added. After King and brother Justin were arrested last month during raids on their father's LA and Miami home, they have hired Jeffrey Leichman, accusing investigators of excessive use of force during the arrest in Holmby Hills in the Los Angeles mansion. King also broke his silence on Snapchat after the arrest, writing, "Stop with the blue cap emoji," which translates to "stop lying." So we shall see what is going to come out. This year, 2024, has been a year of illumination, shining the light on everything. We are watching. People people are being exposed, and Diddy is his daddy. So who else did Diddy and his people, who else is going to come out? I don't know. We shall see. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.